Plant propagation is one of my favorite hobbies. It's time for me to shape my gardenia tree, which means it's the perfect time to take some cuttings. In this video, I'm going to show you how to take a healthy plant like this, take cuttings, and grow new plants for free. And the best part is you only need 3 things: a healthy plant, a set of clippers, and my secret weapon. But don't worry, it's already in your kitchen. Propagating gardenias is super quick and easy. Let's dig in. First, I'm going to bring you in close so I can show you how to take the cuttings, and then I'll show you my secret weapon, which will make it very easy to root the cuttings. Later, I'll show you how to pot them up and what they look like after a few months. When you're taking cuttings for propagation, you want to use fresh green growth from this year, usually called greenwood. So you can see on this branch, the very bright green is the freshest, all right, and that is very supple. That will root. But if you come down a little bit further, it's a little bit of a darker green, and that will also root. So I'm going to go just below a leaf node here. That's 1 cutting. I'm going to do 3. And then I'll show you what to do next. When taking cuttings, you want to make sure that your clippers are clean and sharp so that you don't spread any disease. We're in the greenhouse. I've got my cuttings and my secret weapon. Can you guess what it is? Here it is. Do you know what this is? It's a container from the Chinese soup that we get when we order Chinese food. So this is what I use for gardenia propagation. You can use anything that seals like this, whether it's Tupperware or an old container, as long as it will seal, because you want to keep the humidity in. Okay, so once you have your cuttings, you're going to fill your container with some water. Make sure that you have a lid that will fit to create a seal. I'm going to take my cuttings and I'm going to take off the bottom leaves. And 1 more leaf. So now it has just 2. You can leave 3 if they're small. And you can also cut the leaves if you don't think that they're going to fit in your container. It's fine to cut them. All right, so same thing with this one. I'm removing the leaves. You want to have 3 leaf nodes if possible, because you have a better chance of getting roots where the leaf nodes are. And you also want to keep your leaves above the water line to help prevent bacteria growth. Now you can see that some of these leaves are sticking out above where I need to put the cap. So I'm going to take this one and trim it just like this. Now you can do this on all of them if you would like to make more room so that you could fit more cuttings. Just take off about half the leaf. It could be 1/3 of the leaf. All right, and then that is going to go in. I'm going to tuck these guys down a little bit and pop my lid on. Once you have your cuttings, you're going to want to put them in a place that has bright indirect light. Direct light would cook them. It would magnify in the clear container and cook your cuttings, so you don't want that. But put them in a place that has indirect light where the temperature is going to stay nice and even. I'm going to pop these on my kitchen counter because it gets too hot in this greenhouse this time of the year. So I'm going to put them on my kitchen counter. In a month, these will have rooted, and I'll show you what that looks like right now. Okay, it has been exactly 1 month since we took our gardenia cuttings, and I have something to share with you today. I noticed a few days ago that the cuttings were starting to root, but all 3 of them also have some new green growth. So that's exciting. So here you go, you can see the roots on all 3. That's in 1 month.
And once these roots get to be at least an inch long, I like to wait until they're closer to 2 inches. It'll be time to start transitioning them from this container in the humid environment and then into a pot. So from doing this previous times, I could tell you that's going to go pretty quick. So I will check back in with you soon and show you how these get transitioned and potted up.
A week before potting up your gardenia cuttings, you want to start transitioning them from the high humid environment inside the container to the relative humidity in the environment where they'll be potted. I start by unsealing the lid and just leaving it on top. Next, 2 days later, I uncover about half the opening and just leave the top balanced on the other side. And 2 days later, I take the top off completely and let the cuttings stay in the container without the lid for 2 days. Then they're ready to pot.
It's been 2 months since I took these cuttings and they all rooted, and you can see they're starting to have some new growth. So it's the perfect time to pot them up. So let me show you the roots. There you go. So now I could have probably potted these sooner, but I just got busy. So they've been sitting on my countertop growing roots, and it is time for me to get them potted up. I want to fertilize them. If you live in zone 8 or higher, you can leave these outside because they're hardy for your zone. I live in zone 7. They're not hardy in my zone. So I'm either going to bring them in and leave them on my kitchen counter as houseplants for the winter, or I'm going to heat this greenhouse at night and then leave them in here. I haven't decided yet, but I will let you know. So make sure that you subscribe if you're interested in finding out what I do. Okay, let's pot them up. So for these little cuttings, I'm going to be using these small green pots. These are 3-inch or 3.5-inch pots that I just had laying around. They were used, so I rinsed them quick just to disinfect them so that I didn't spread any disease. So if you're using used pots, make sure that you do that. In this container, I'm using Sunshine Grow Mix number 4. I get that at Lowe's, but you can use whatever potting soil you have laying around. So I'm going to just take my pot, put a little soil in. You can dig a hole with your finger, or you can use a dibbler. I use this a lot. This is a stake that came with a solar light, but it works. You can use a pen or a pencil, whatever you have. You want to make sure that you get your roots down in there, and then I'm just going to fill it up. There's one. Two. So now I'm going to water these in and fertilize them. The last part of this video, I'll show you what they look like in the fall. It's been about 2 months since my last update, and our babies are growing fast. It's time to up pot these guys and unfortunately cut them back. I feel like cutting them back is always the hardest part for me, but it has to be done if you want to have a really nice branching plant. So that's what I'm going to do today. Let's go. I'm going to be using these square containers. This is what I like to have. They fit really nicely together, and they're not tremendously bigger than these green containers. They'll give more space for the roots to grow. And gardenias are relatively slow growers. It says moderate on the internet, but to me, they seem to take forever. So that's what I'm going to use. They fit nicely in my greenhouse or on my kitchen counter, depending on where I end up keeping them this winter. All right, so let's check out the roots on this one. There we go. Not bad. It's been, I think, 4 months total. I took the initial cuttings in May, and now it is September. So they did really well. Now I'm going to cut these back to the first true leaves, which are down here. All right, now you could make this a cutting in itself. I'm going to remove this tip. I'm going to strip off these leaves. And these leaves, you can see, are really big because they've been growing all season, unlike the leaves from the cuttings that we did in May. So I'm definitely going to snip these. I've got my Chinese food container ready to go. There you go. All right, one down, two to go. All right, root ball number 2. Looking good. Now this one you can see only has one branch. So I'm going to try to train this one into a tree. So I'm going to leave this one. I'm not going to cut it back because I want one big long stem. This year when we went to our local nursery, my husband always buys me gardenia trees for Mother's Day because they're my favorite. But this year when we went, each tree was $109, which is insane. I used to be able to get them for like $39. So I'm going to try to make my own by training some of these into trees. So this one, I think, might make a better shrub because it's already got the 2 branches. But because this one is just so long and tall, I'm going to leave that one alone and see if I can train it into a tree. This one has 2 branches too, so I think I'm going to cut this back, let it get branchy. I prefer the gardenia trees because I like to be able to plant annuals around the bottom. All right, cutting back to the bottom leaves. These guys will get watered. These guys will get watered and I'll fertilize them because I'm not going to leave them outside in the cold. If you were going to leave these out and they were going to go dormant, you probably wouldn't want to fertilize this late in the season because the new growth that would result from the fertilization would be more susceptible to freezing and dying. But because these are either going to be in the heated greenhouse or they're going to be on my kitchen counter all winter, I think it's pretty safe. So I'm going to go ahead and water them and fertilize them. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope that you got something out of this video, and I hope that you're able to create an amazing yard full of gardenias all for free. Have a great day. Thanks for watching.